Welcome to TalkFCB and welcome back here to the channel, guys, to a news roundup coming up for you tonight. And I had to do this video because I'm getting so many questions here about Arthur Melo. Is it true? Has he accepted here to leave the club for Juventus? And we've also had some massive news tonight that the Barcelona players, and in particular Frenkie De Jong, really unhappy with the Barcelona medical staff. We have to discuss this on both accounts. It's crucial. Arthur and De Jong centre stage. That's what we'd like, but not quite in this way. Let's do it. Because first of all, of course, we do have to discuss the full situation right now with Arthur Melo. There are so many rumours that go around every single day there, all relating to this Arthur Pjanic swap between Barcelona and Juventus. And the question is right now, first and foremost, why are Barcelona still pursuing this deal? Because for many of us Barcelona fans, we're looking at this, even if right now you're not that happy with Arthur, you can still look at this deal and say, what are we thinking? Why are Barcelona even considering this kind of deal? Well, to answer your question, they are desperate right now. And I mean really desperate. Barcelona, the club, the board in particular, they need money by the end of June. That right now is a real deadline and a real headache that the board have got going on. And they need to get a certain amount of finances in through the door before the end of the month to meet the budgets and the targets they set out at the start of the season. And when I say they need money, what I mean really is they need some sort of deal, because it doesn't have to just be outright cash there coming in, player sale, very simple. What you can do now in modern day football is have different kinds of deals and just file them in a certain way. Because even right now, if you're looking at this deal, on the face of it, it will be a swap deal between Barcelona and Juventus if it happens. But there are actually ways there that as a club, you can account for these deals to basically get around certain obstacles with the financial problems that we may have in place, either via FFP or, of course, in general, just the club budget. Because, for instance, when you're talking there about that swap deal, the player who comes in, the player who's signed, maybe I think Barcelona would put them there into next year's budget. That signing there wouldn't even come in to this financial year, whereas the player who was going out, they would. All of that money there, or the value of that player who's being exchanged, that would be documented there in this financial year, whereas the player coming in, that would then be into next year's. And that was the sort of deal there we saw between Valencia and Barcelona last summer. It was a very similar situation there with Silesen on his way out, Neto on his way in. Silesen, we registered there as a big transfer fee, but then we paid something very similar to Valencia to get Neto in the other way. So that's basically what the board are trying to do right now, use Arthur Melo to potentially help them out financially. But the big question is Arthur going to accept to be that man? To actually there bring some funds in, bring in the money the club needs? Is Arthur going to be that player? And let me just say, there's no excuse from the board. You can't say here that, oh, the board are desperate, that's why they're going down this route. Arthur isn't a player that we'd like to use, but look, we need the money. It's not an excuse. This is all of the board's own making. They have nobody to blame here but themselves for the situation that we find themselves in. You think about it earlier on today, Barcelona fans who are season ticket holders, they had a number of options. For the rest of the season, they can't come to the stadium, so the club there basically said, okay, maybe do you want money off next season's season ticket? And the other option actually was, and this is genuinely true right now, they said if you don't want to have money put onto next season's ticket as a discount, or maybe if you don't want your money back there, what you can do, if you like, you can just let us keep the money. That was genuinely an option, and that tells you everything right now about how desperate Barcelona are to try and get some money in. Which is where the report from earlier on from La Repubblica, the Italian news outlet, comes in, because they broke the story this morning that a deal between Barcelona and Juventus had finally been done. They broke a massive story there that basically said that Arthur Melo had finally changed his mind, that he'd finally agreed there to join Juventus, and that a deal between the two clubs, that exchange deal, it would be done. And naturally, once you hear that sort of story, the alarm bells are ringing. Barcelona fans, we don't want to lose Arthur. We certainly don't want to exchange him there in return for Miralem Pjanic. And I think certainly that was not a good thing to read. But let me just give you two very big points here of encouragement. Because first of all, La Repubblica, the source there in Italy, I've got to say, from my experience with them, looking at transfer stories now for quite a long time, they do have quite a hit and miss record. Sometimes they do get things right, but a lot of of the time as well, they're wide at the mark. So I think I would say they're about a 50-50 accuracy rating for La Repubblica, and for that reason, I wouldn't exactly put them down as a reliable source for transfers. And more importantly than that, the initial story there from La Repubblica was instantly denied by the much more reliable journalist, the well-renowned Brazilian Marcelo Betchler, who came out straight away, and he said that's not right. He said Arthur hasn't changed his mind. Arthur hasn't changed his stance whatsoever. He said he still wants to remain at the club. He doesn't have any intention at all of leaving Barcelona. And Marcelo Betchler actually went on. He said, you know what? It's not just that Arthur doesn't want to leave. He hasn't even listened to what Juventus are offering. He hasn't even sat down and had a look at their proposal, because that's how uninterested he is in actually there leaving the club. And that for me, much, much more reassuring, and also from a much, much more credible source there in Marcelo Betchler. So for me, right now, I would stay calm. I believe that Arthur still wants to succeed at Barcelona. I believe that every single day the club is saying, you know what, have you changed your mind? Do you want to go now? Do you fancy going to Juve? A Turin, lovely place to live. But Arthur is not accepting that, and as of right now, he still doesn't want to go. And I do just want to say there, on the Arthur Melo situation, before we do come on to the medical staff stuff, I want to say about Arthur that, okay, he has been underwhelming since football returned. I'm a big Arthur fan. I think he's got enormous potential, but since the restart, you'd have to admit there, even as the biggest Arthur fan, he has been underwhelming. He started against Leganes, he didn't do enough, he wasn't imposing enough, he lost the ball, he wasn't progressive. I think certainly you'd be asking a lot more. And exactly the same when he came on there against Sevilla in a Barca shirt. He has to stand up. He has to do more. I don't deny that. I honestly don't deny that. But I would also say, let's be real here. Let's be realistic and say, can you imagine going out there to play for your club when in the back of your mind, the whole time, you know they don't want you. You know that not only do they not count on you, do they not trust in you, they are actively trying to force you away, to get you out of the club every single day, trying to get you to change your mind. That can't be easy. I'm not making excuses here for Arthur Melo. He does have to give more. He can do so much more. But I just think playing under those circumstances, it's not ideal for any player with the Barcelona board in his ear all the time. It doesn't help. But if we move now from Arthur Melo to his midfield counterpart Frenkie De Jong, because this evening a big story there has been breaking from Barcelona, started off by Rack One, that basically says the Barcelona players as a collective are becoming seriously unhappy with the work the Barcelona medical staff are doing, and given the injury troubles that have plagued us now for such a long time, particularly this season, you look as well under Ernesto Valverde, the medical staff for me have always had to own up and take some responsibility. I think all of us here, we've always looked at the medical staff and we've thought, you're not doing a great job. You are doing something fundamentally wrong to actually have so many of our players week in, week out, picking up injuries, not recovering, having relapses. It doesn't add up. And tonight, Rack One there saying the Barcelona players, they are now unhappy. And it even goes further. That there is not the end of the story, because indeed then they go on to say that in particular of those players, Frenkie De Jong is one of those who's most annoyed right now. He is very angry, in particular, with the way the medical staff treated him during his current injury that now could leave him on the sidelines for a number of weeks, and he could miss the rest of the league season. And they actually say there that he's so unhappy with the way they went about there, diagnosing him with that problem. It took time. Apparently, there may have even been a wrong diagnosis there at the start after his injury against Mallorca, and he's so angry with them that he actually wants to go and recover, and he's considering it back in the Netherlands, away from Barcelona, away from their medical staff. He may want to go and recover on his own because of the way that he was treated. And I'm with him 110%. Because go back a few days when we heard here about the fact that De Jong's injury was actually much worse there than we initially anticipated, I think already there the alarm bells are ringing, because you were reading that statement there and you were thinking, hang on a minute, that doesn't add up. Because you remember it there, first game since the restart, De Jong, fittest player in the squad, he's always in outstanding condition, he takes brilliant care of himself, he comes back there against Mallorca and he's subbed off with a few minutes to go with a suspected calf problem. Now you fast forward just a few days and he's on the bench against Leganes. So already they haven't diagnosed him properly, because he suffered the injury that he currently has in that game. It didn't get worse, he didn't actually there make it worse. That was the injury that he had against against Mallorca, but for some reason, he was on the bench against Leganés. Luckily, he was an unused sub, and then after that game, he was expected, and everybody thought, even Quique Setien, that he'd be returning, but it didn't happen. And now, they come out with a statement saying there that upon further inspection, there is something more serious with De Jong. Well, I'm sorry, but what were you doing until that point? What on earth were you doing there when you diagnosed him, when you had a look at him, when you did the test the first time after he got injured against Mallorca? What has gone wrong there? It seems to me as though he's got that injury against Mallorca, he was on the bench, they didn't look at it properly, they didn't look at it there in enough detail, and now they've actually sort of stumbled upon it, and they've actually said, oh, hang on a minute, we've missed that. Sorry, De Jong, you're actually more injured than we thought you were. And that's incredible. This here should be a medical team of the highest order. We are one of the biggest, most elite, most rich clubs in the world. We should have the best people for the job in one of the most important departments of the football club there. If your medical staff aren't good, if you can't keep your players fit, you've got no chance. They can't be out there playing their football, and that's a massive problem. And I'm so happy here that the players now are recognising that they're saying, look, hang on a minute, this is not right. This is not good to see what's going on. And all that we can hope is that action is taken, because like I say, such an important area that you can't afford to get wrong. So that there, guys, is some late night news for you regarding the situation with Arthur Melo. I truly do believe that he wants to stay. I do believe that he hasn't changed his mind. But of course, these rumours will be continuing, and I'll bring you the latest there on anything at all that does break in that Arthur Melo situation. But let me know your thoughts there in the comments down below on this De Jong, and in particular there with regards to the medical staff. What do you make of all that? What do you think there of that whole situation? And would you like to see change in the Barcelona medical staff team? Let me know all of those thoughts in the comments down below. I thank you as always for your incredible support. Come on now, we're facing Athletic and we need that vital victory. I'll see you after the game, guys. Don't forget to check out the full match preview if you haven't already with all the build-up. I can't wait for that. But until next time, as always, Visca el Barça.